lies, betrayal, heartbreak, outrage. No, these are not titles of new series slated for the fall TV lineup, but key elements of scandals. On this episode of CYT, I drag Jason through the relationship drama at the scandalous center of the Bravo reality television show Summer House. We break down how scandals captivate the cultural zeitgeist and how these elements occur in everyday life, and how we deal with them both in our personal and professional lives. I'm Sean Millhouse,
And I'm Jason LeCompte.
and this is Collect Your Thoughts.
We should talk about how much I like video games. And I forget that sometimes.
Why do you. Just kidding. Sorry, I just wanted to be stupid.
Cool.
Oh, gosh, that's so cool, Jason.
Yeah, no, I feel like a big nerd sometimes, but then also been playing video games for literally 40 years. So like
That's wild.
It is wild. Like I remember my neighbors having an Atari 2600.
Oh.
Like, whoa.
It's like,
And like,
the
I could
original.
not get enough, right? And my parents didn't want me over there because I didn't really like those people too much, but they were kids that were my age. And so, the dude that was my age and then his older brothers, and they were Atari all the time. And I'm like, I have to go over there. I have to play. And that just sort of ignited the fire. And then ever since then, I saved up my paper route money for a Nintendo. And then there's a track on Mario Kart 8 that's from Excite Bike. You ever play Excite?
Yes.
It's
I used to play
one of them-
Excite all the
Yes.
time.
Like obsessively with my brothers and then my cousins too.
Yes.
My cousins would come over and you could build tracks on Excite.
Yes.
Oh my God. It was the
And there was
best.
there was always the favorite things to add into the track. Like we
No,
played it
it's-
all the time growing up. Yeah.
I loved it. But my husband and Andrew and I will play Mario Kart sometimes, just like in evenings or whatever.
So
And
fun.
I will pick that cup because I love that track. Like it's silly, but
and
yeah,
the
it's just
music,
so,
it still has the music, and that takes you
so
right back.
retro. So brings you right
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Very
So I
clever of
think that's-
Nintendo to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And some of them are like, I remember playing this on N64, and I remember playing this on
Yeah.
Super Nintendo. I remember playing and then of course they're all enhanced and they're all
Yes.
so yeah. I get a kick out of it, and I haven't played the newest one yet, but
I haven't either yet.
that's gonna be soon. But I think it reignited my interest in video games, and also being kind of laid up and not able to do a lot of things on my feet. I'm now sitting. And so I'm just getting back into it and I'm digging it. It's really, it's a good time.
Cool.
Not that you would know anything about video games. You never
hate video
play
games.
video-
I hate them. They're the worst. Never spend time with them. As I play
Yes.
hours and hours and hours of Pokopia.
Yes.
Currently.
How is your
it's-
Pokopia?
It's wonderful. Yes, right now I'm focusing on building a bunch of homes for my Pokemon, but it's just fun. I mean, you just get to hang out with cute little critters, and they want to tell you how much they love being your friend, and then you build things, and it's just so adorable. They're just adorable. And so anyway, yeah.
How about this for a segue? Did you ever get into any scandals?
I mean, sure. I mean, I imagine there are so many scandals. I mean, you can just see the way that they're talking to each other. You can tell when there's a dramatic conversation happening. And, that does lead really well into our topic, which is really getting into a scandal at hand.
Ooh, yeah.
So, you and I, we take turns coming up with topics that we want to discuss and leading the episodes and blah, blah. And I was thinking about the things that are sort of like front of mind for me. And right now I am deeply invested in the Summer House scandal that is occurring, which there's a lot to unpack here. And we're going to get into that. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think there are a lot of universal aspects of what's going on in this particular situation that everyday humans experience
Mm.
and have to contend with their feelings around it, but we
Sure.
just don't have millions of people watching and then talking about on the internet. But
Thank God.
I thank God, but also, like, I definitely
Right. Yeah.
know, like, depending on your friend group or the size of your community, like, you can become that
Sure.
sort of pariah
Hmm.
amongst people. So, I
Yeah.
think we experience just different levels of it. This one just happens to be, like, full on in front of our
Mm.
faces with
Yeah.
cameras documenting every moment.
No. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's a common theme in a lot of, like, dramas and even sort of darker comedies that I will get into. Like, we're watching Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV right now,
Yes. I'm
and
behind,
very
but I love that show.
very yeah, there's very much scandal. It's, this the mini scandal here, major scandal there. Like, it's definitely, very watchable. So, it's the
Yes.
draw is, I think, probably pretty universal.
Yeah, and I think too what makes this one really feel like it's something that people are invested in is because this involves people who have known each other some for a decade.
Mm,
And so when you think about long-term friendships and relationships and all of the things that happen over time and then when major shifts happen because of decisions that are made, it can really rock a friend group.
yeah, for sure.
And we definitely experience it in our own work. I know for sure that I have clients who are either at the center of those things or they are friends of the center of the thing. And it is something that really makes everyone go, I can't believe this person did this.
Hmm.
And I don't know how I feel about them now. And I'm judging them or I want to show up for them, but like also I don't know how to without maybe hurting the other person's feelings. So anyway, there's just a bunch of this kind of thinking that made me go, I really want to talk about
Yeah,
scandals and in betrayal and how that can definitely show up in our own lives, but also in our work.
for
So,
sure. It's very relatable. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and so speaking of relatable, so Summer House is a reality television show, which
Mm.
Jason, as the person that loves reality television the most between us, tell us about Summer House.
Like, you're not putting that on me. I am
No,
not the
so
biggest
full
fan.
disclosure,
Uh-huh.
Jason is generally allergic to reality television. Is that
It
a
does
fair
make me
assessment?
itch. It does make me itch. You're right. Yes.
Yes.
I can handle a little bit of it. There's a couple of shows I've watched, but, like, generally speaking, you're right. I can't get into a lot of it. Yeah.
Yes. And I think part of it is I've mentioned before, I grew up with the real world was like my doorway
Mhm.
into reality television.
Yeah.
And then Survivor came out like in 2000. So that
Mhm.
was right in my teen years. So that was the advent of reality television were those shows. And so I think while I don't watch every type of reality show and not every show gets me hooked, there are
Mm.
some that draw me in. And typically the ones that keep me are the ones that really have complex relationships at the heart of them, which is, I don't know, shocking with, the kind of work I do, we do.
Mm.
So yeah, when you think about reality television, like just briefly, like
Sure.
what are your general thoughts about reality television, people that participate in this process, and is it ruining our lives? No biggie. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that last one. But yeah, go
It
for it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's, maybe relatable drama. Like, that's what I think a
Mhm.
lot of people are drawn to is it's a little bit like a car crash that you don't wanna see, but, oh my gosh, it's happening, and I'm gonna watch it because you don't get to see things like this very often or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And obviously, like, heightened emotions, they
Mhm.
prick up our ears, they get our attention because we're, not to bring it back right into psychology, but, like, we're fear-based
Yeah.
mammals. So when we
Yes.
hear heightened emotion, our nervous systems go, there could be danger. And so we lock in, right? But this is very safe danger. This is very watchable
Right.
danger, right? It's on the screen. We can go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God. And then, of course, we get interested. And
Yeah.
it's also a distraction from our
Sure.
lives and our drama. And so, yeah, there's tons and tons of reasons, but yeah, for me, sometimes it feels, and here's my one negation, and then I'll leave it off the table for the rest of it. A lot of it feels produced. It
Sure.
feels right, almost not scripted, but feels like we planned this a little bit, or we had 4 or 5 kind of like nuggets of drama that we're going to whisper in the cast's ear off to the side, and we're going to have them go right. And then I'm like, there's no way they made that decision. That feels produced. And so then I get kind of pulled out of it. But this is just, I don't know, was never something that I gravitated towards or grew up with. And
Yeah.
so it just, that's what pulls me out of it most of the time. But
Yeah.
I definitely see its appeal. It's
Sure.
wider appeal. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, with that all being said, I
Mm,
thought first, like, I wanted to get into talking about why I wanted to talk about the Summer House
mm,
scandal, then really breaking it down, like, what is Summer House? Because I know there's going to be a lot of people that have never watched this show who are going to be
mm,
like, why is this going to be kind of the thing at the center of this conversation? But I hope that in breaking that down, it kind of helps everyone have an idea of like, who are the players? What is the game? And then how do those aspects become universal elements that we can all
mm.
kind of understand or at least think about to some
Yeah,
extent? So,
sure. Hit me
ready
with
to
it.
get into it?
Lay it on me.
Lay it on ya. Okay,
Right.
so why talk about the Summer House scandal? I really looked at it this way. Here are the main pulls that I think are really interesting. It's the ending of a 10-year relationship. It is talking about a betrayal of a best friend, as well as the betrayal of exes
Mm,
that were on good terms. It also, I think, talks about the impact this has on our friend group when we go through things like this. Also, about what does public perception do to the people in the center of it, and how does
mm,
it inform how other people in public or in culture think about the situation. How much is that changing the perception because of the way that maybe public vocalization of the thing maybe makes people think like, oh, well, then I should shit on them because all these other outlets are shitting on them. Which I feel like you could zoom in and go, oh, we all know like those friends that seem to always know the drama that's happening with our peripheral friend groups or people that we know.
yeah.
And then like how does that then impact their lives? So I really also look at this as an opportunity to discuss how we as a society can judge and condemn, and
Mm,
yet how would we navigate the dissection and criticism of the things that we do in private if they came out?
sure.
And that is something that I think we all have to like go, oh, hold up. Like these are all human beings still. And we can't lose sight of that, even if it
Right.
gets to this place where it's easy to just throw daggers at them for the terrible things that they do.
Right. A seemingly easy mistake to make that we could, because we're removed from it, we can go, well, I would never do that. But you don't
Yes.
know. If you've never been in that position, you truly don't know what decisions you would make. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, here is my breakdown of Summer House. So, I will say this I've been watching Summer House for probably, I think I started watching it live in its fifth season. And then, of course, I went back. Like, I first went back and watched it all the way through and then have been a watcher since. And so, anyway, here is what Summer House is. Summer House is a reality show on Bravo about a group of friends who live in New York City that rent a summer share home together for their weekends in the Hamptons every summer. The
Mm,
show is known for its relationship drama, humorous friendships, and themed parties filled with debauchery. The
Mm.
show just concluded its 10th season and just launched a spinoff that follows some of the cast into their lives in the city, which is the spinoff's title. Summer House itself is a spinoff of the reality show Vanderpump Rules, which is a spinoff of The Real Housewives of Beverly
1,
Hills.
2, 3.
So, and
So
and
we're on a
technically,
4th generation spinoff is
well,
what
and
we're talking about.
and then Real House of Beverly Hills, is like the fourth or fifth installment from
Iteration
the
of yeah,
original Real Housewives of Orange
right.
County. So there's,
Wow.
yes, Bravo
Yeah.
is exceptionally good at finding, like, when they see, ooh, there's something
Yeah,
here, they
yeah.
follow with that thread and they just keep pursuing it. And they've honestly mined a lot of gold from that. So kudos to
Apparently,
Andy
yeah.
Cohen, I know is a
Mm,
big piece of that, and all the
mhm,
other people at Bravo who seem to have like their, I guess, finger on that pulse.
mhm,
Um,
yeah.
so
Good job,
here,
Andy.
yeah, yeah. So here are the cast of characters
Mm,
that you're going to hear their names the most. This is Amanda, Kyle, West, and Sierra.
mm.
Okay. So I'm going to do my best to break this down and hopefully it makes sense. And if it doesn't, this is where Jason, if something's not tracking, you got to go, wait, say what? Like, just ask for
Sure, yeah.
clarification because
Mhm.
I'm really looking to you as like the voice of the outsider here. And versus I'm the guy that's just like, this is like living and breathing it all the time. So
Sure,
I
yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
have my things where I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not that. But in my head, I'm like,
Mm,
oh, wait, that's right. Cause, he doesn't watch it
right.
religiously or at
Yeah, yeah,
all.
yeah.
So, okay, here's what happened. Amanda and Kyle, they had started dating in the very first season, and you basically watched them date. And then about 6 years in, they finally tied the knot and got married, and they've been married for the last four. Well, it was announced in January that they separated, which anyone watching the show, I think we all felt a sigh of relief because these two are not compatible. These
Mm,
two are just completely different people. He is somebody that's extremely extroverted and out there, and he's an entrepreneur who has his own liquor line, and he's now going into DJing, which is a whole other thing. And
wow.
yes, and
What?
Amanda
No.
is, basically this very introverted person that really has put herself in the back seat in this relationship because I will say this, I hate saying this. Kyle is like when you think of the worst traits of a Leo,
Mm,
Kyle is that. He is a Leo. And
mm.
I don't want to own him, but I can also see what happens when a un uh,
Tamed?
an untamed Leo,
Hey, yeah,
an
nice.
untamed Leo gets, out there and does damage.
Yeah.
So they announced their separation in January. Well, then rumors began to rumble in March of this year that Amanda was spotted hanging out in a not so friendly way with Wes Wilson, who is
A more
their
than friendly way.
yes, yes, sorry. That's what I
Yeah,
was
a more
that's what
yeah,
I meant more. It's
yeah.
like not saying that they
That's why I'm
weren't.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's
Yes.
why I'm
So
here. Yeah.
basically canoodling. Essentially there was
Yes.
the
There
gossip
we go.
blogs were talking
Right.
about being seen looking very comfortable with each other in a
Mhm.
bar somewhere. And Wes is a castmate of Summer House and friends with Amanda and Kyle. Well, this is also kind of scandalous because Amanda's close friend, Sierra, who is also a cast member, dated West. And they
Mhm.
were it was a very powerful connection that really blew up into a bunch of smithereens because honestly, Wes is a piece of shit because of
Sorry,
how
West.
he treated. And also, he's from KC. And right now, like, we do
Oh.
not,
Oh.
we don't endorse him. So
Okay. Okay.
anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, that's an aside. So anyway, these rumors were coming out in March that Amanda and West were having something that was not just platonic happening.
Mm,
However, through social media and other media appearances, Amanda and West denied any truth to the rumors, as did Kyle, Amanda's ex husband or soon to be
mm,
ex husband. And they just stated that they were simply good friends. However, the rumors kept persisting. Other people in the friend group made little comments online that seemed to allude
Mm.
that there was something more there that these two weren't fessing up to. And on March 31st, Amanda and West released a joint Instagram statement stating they had indeed developed a connection and were figuring it out, which led
Okay.
to pretty much the online Bravoverse being like outraged over how Amanda and West could do this to, especially to Sierra, because
Ah.
Sierra, I will say this, Sierra is kind of the honestly the perfect woman in so many ways and the best friend that you would want in your corner. She
Hmm.
is incredibly smart. She was a nurse during the pandemic. She also
Wow.
happens to be a model and like her
Wow.
personality
Yeah.
is even more just like she has the whole package. However, as I like to say about some people, she is a terrible picker. She is a terrible picker. She does not go for good dudes. And
All right. So
so,
can I
yes,
ask? So you did
please.
a great job of describing why Sierra is like the perfect woman. So what
Yes.
is wrong with West? Like why is he such a terrible person? You didn't say much about him.
I didn't. So here's the thing. West is incredibly charming. West is he is a sports journalist, I believe.
Mm.
And he is just very like down the home. He's that guy that can make a friend with everyone because
A
he's
charmer,
easygoing.
kind
He's
of.
very charming. He's
Okay.
easygoing. He also stands on things very like he's very liberal. He's very like he says all the things that would make you go, this guy is really intelligent and he
Mm.
really seems to respect women. However, he frequently has these sort of, I don't know, dalliances with women that end up crashing and burning. And then when he gets caught, in the crossfire of that, he
Hmm.
typically shuts down, becomes very sheepish, doesn't really offer an apology, and kind of, I mean, he just kind of looks like a little kid that just got in over his head but doesn't want to deal with the consequences.
I was gonna say he sounds like he's behaving like a little kid.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
When
not.
it comes
Yeah.
to vulnerability, as I
Hmm.
joked in our show notes, he's truly allergic to vulnerability. I don't know if I've seen somebody, especially
Yeah.
for someone being
Yeah.
on reality television,
Sure.
he is constantly having these little conversations with people about how he feels about things, but doesn't say them to the person that he's having those
Uh,
concerns about.
So he likes to triangulate and not take accountability and like all these sort of like these things that we would see in somebody, see a pattern of behavior, and we would
Yes.
go, that person's immature or not a great
Yes.
person. Yeah.
And,
Okay.
like, you
Great.
can tell, like, it
Yeah.
bothers him. You can tell he gets very anxious about that, but also,
Sure.
like, he is, like, a grown man and
Right.
needs to,
Right.
be able to have tough conversations when he does
Right. Yeah.
shitty things.
Right. Exactly.
So
Like all of us do. Yeah.
yes, yes. So this whole situation's been amplified because the recent season of Summer House that it has aired and the season that was filmed over summer 2025 shows the growing signs of Kyle and Amanda just being in the worst of their relationship, which says a lot because this is truly a relationship that from the jump, he was cheating on her. He wasn't able to commit to her.
Mm.
He lied about things. He gets super drunk and basically makes an ass out of himself. And over again, she forgives him and finds a way.
Wow.
And he makes these empty promises. But then when rubber meets the road, he just kind of goes right back to the
Oh,
same shenanigans.
yeah.
And so everybody like they enjoy, I think, them together, but they're really not compatible, Amanda and
Mm.
Kyle.
Yeah.
And so in watching this most recent season, I mean, they all seem to be having a great time partying in the Hamptons over the summer, like in this really cool house with this, really great pool and all this stuff. However, it's
Mm.
like every chill moment was essentially ruined by Kyle and Amanda's tension. And so pretty much
Mm.
everybody was like, y'all have to do something or you got to just end it. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't working.
Yeah.
Well, while this is all happening, it does appear that Amanda and West are growing closer. Like you're watching the season, you're seeing their friendship, like the way he consoles her is just it's a different there's something about it, like, from watching, you can like, when he hugs her, he, like, has his hands, like, through her hair, and it's kinda, like, stroking
Mm,
her hair, and, there's just many times where they just have these quiet moments where you could spot them, like, looking at each other
uh-huh.
that make it really especially looking in retrospect, make you go, "What was happening there?" And then
Yeah,
simultaneously, though, Sierra, who, again, like I said, is very close to Amanda, she was
right.
receiving a ton of support from Amanda because Sierra and Wes had dated 2 summers prior. He basically didn't know how to handle that, freaked the fuck out, broke it off,
Sounds like
and
she was way too good for him.
like a good boyfriend, he did an interview with the New York Times and said a bunch of stuff about their relationship that he never said to her, and she read it in the
No,
paper.
not a good boyfriend. Oh my
So
gosh. No, okay,
yes.
yeah.
So
This is
basically,
yeah.
Sierra had very good reasons to essentially freeze him out and be like, "You're dead to me,"
Mm,
because he was fully aware of her past, like, relationship shit and knowing how other dudes had not really appreciated and taken care of her, and yet he still did what he does. And
yeah.
so, anyway, we get to this most recent season, and you can tell that she misses their friendship. Like they legitimately had a
Sierra
connection. Yeah, Sierra and West.
and
They
West. Yeah,
legitimately had a
yeah,
really like you when they were good, you could see it. You were rooting for them
sure.
because there was something really special between them. However, you just see throughout the season, there's like he's doing this and she's trying to understand that, but they eventually get to a point where, with their friends' help, including Amanda,
Mm,
they reconcile and they become friends again. And then, of course, they start kind of hooking up a little bit. So that's how that season ended. But
mm,
also, it ended with Amanda and Kyle basically saying they need to do a trial separation.
yeah,
So you're ending the season, which is like about September 2025, you're ending that with this thought of like, okay, Amanda and Kyle are, not doing well and they seem to
yeah.
be probably on their last foot. And you see Sierra and Wes seemingly maybe heading to a new place, even though Wes does tell people, like, I don't want anything serious. I don't want her to get that in her head. And she's also saying that too. She's not saying like she wants anything serious, but she also understands they need to take their time because this is a very new reconnection, Sierra and Wes.
Right.
Well, then, as I mentioned before, all the other events come out where basically 6 months later, apparently Amanda and West are seeing each other. And Amanda was one of the people that I said earlier was helping Sierra through all that heartache and was giving her advice and also talking to Wes about how he
Mm,
needs to treat Sierra. Repeatedly, you're seeing these clips about like, don't you can't break her heart again and blah 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 blah. And so when this all comes out in retrospect, you're going, wait, what the fuck? Especially as Sierra was like right there with Amanda, was basically
yeah,
trying to help her be like, listen, you don't deserve to be treated by Kyle like this. You
yeah.
deserve better for yourself. You deserve to pursue a relationship. So Sierra showed up over and over again and rooted for Amanda hardcore. And Amanda seemed to also do the same for Sierra. However, apparently 6 months later, something's changed. And now Amanda and Wes are dating. And Sierra is deeply hurt and upset. And Kyle, Amanda's ex husband or soon be ex
Mm,
husband, is essentially like, I don't know what to do with this. However, he has been defending Amanda. He has basically said, listen, I don't agree with what's happened. It's wrong what's happened, but also everyone needs to leave her alone. Stop treating her like this. Like,
mm.
you can have your opinions, but I mean, you know how toxic the internet is. So
Well,
he's
sure.
still trying to take
Yeah.
care of her in a way that to
Mm,
me is like that's something about Kyle where you go, okay, this is why Amanda and Kyle lasted as long is because he does come through in moments where he really is loyal, like a Leo, and will show up at the end of the day,
Mm,
even if he fucks up every step of the way along that path too. So
wow.
he's kind of a mess. So we now get to this point, which what sucks about where we're at is the reunion of the show, which Bravo has their reunions of their reality shows that are pretty
Right.
successful. So that basically the cast gets together, they're all dressed up and they have these fancy sets. And basically they rehash the events of the season, they clarify things, they try to make reconciliation of other things. And then sometimes
Yeah.
you just see the impasse of other situations. So this is going to air right after we are done recording this. So there's a bunch
Mm,
of information that by the time this episode that we're doing right now comes out, will be
mhm.
out there that we're not going to have included in this. So if anybody's a Summer House fan that's listening, besides like, Aaron, my cousin,
Hmm.
then, you can probably at least have this as like a primer if you care to keep following it.
Mm,
However, this is just all being said so I can give context to scandals and things that we do in general and how betrayal and friendships and relationship insanity can happen to any of us. We just don't have
yeah.
a reality television camera crew following us and the internet, commenting on it for the most part.
Right. Like things like this happen in real life, obviously, maybe not
Yes.
as largely or as dramatically, but also maybe sometimes as largely and dramatically. But again,
Yes.
it's just not, it's not being broadcast for everyone to watch and comment on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, not knowing all these people at all, you don't watch
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or needing clarity on anything at this point?
I don't think so. I feel like
Okay.
you explained it pretty well. I feel like I've run into at least maybe not versions of these people, but people with similar traits or similar patterns of behavior, both in my personal and professional life. And I've seen similar missteps or similar relational mishaps happen in
Yeah.
their lives. And I mean, a lot of it is down to like I don't want to fast forward too much through this, but like a lot of it is down to like unhealed trauma, or it's eh, we haven't examined ourselves deeply enough to
Yeah.
look at our own patterns, and so then we just keep stepping in it, right? This relationship, oh, it didn't work out. Okay, this relationship, oh, it didn't work out. Well, a lot of times the trope or the saying in therapy is if you keep doing the thing and the one common denominator is right here. Did you like that dramatic point that I did? If you are the common denominator in a failed relationship after failed, then maybe you need to look inward and go, is it
Yes.
me? Right? Is
Yes.
some of my bullshit getting in the
Yes.
way? So
Yes.
yeah. So no, but
Am
yeah,
I
it
the
makes sense.
drama?
Yeah.
That's like my
Am I
favorite
am
thing
I
that
the
is
drama?
said.
Uh-huh.
Am I the drama?
Am I the yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I feel like I have it pretty clear understanding of those four people. What
Yes.
what I guess what I don't get is
Yeah.
like if they were so close,
Yeah.
If Amanda and Sierra are so close, like why would she do that? Like why would she betray her friend by get was it innocent? Like the way you described it, it was building over the course of a season.
Yeah.
And again, this is a reality TV show, so
Sure.
we take it with a grain of salt. But if we saw the looks and we saw the interactions and we saw that, was it slowly like was it interest building? Was it friendship building? Was it something else? Like why? And if it was, why would she choose to do this to Sierra? Why do people do these things to their friends?
Yes. Yeah, I think that is like the crux of it all. And especially because throughout the 10 seasons of this show,
Yeah,
Amanda has been somebody that people have really rooted for, who
sure.
have said, oh my gosh, if she could just get out of that relationship, she'd be so much better for it. And so when they finally announced their separation,
Yeah,
any of us fans were just like, it's really sad when a relationship ends
yeah.
and everything, but also this is for the best. Like, this is going to be
For
the
both
very
of
best
them.
thing for both of them because
Yeah.
he truly wants to, like, he's just fallen into this DJ career. which is just so apparently he's not half bad from what people say, but
Yeah.
yeah, Amanda was just this person that I looked at her as somebody who you could tell she was afraid to really have a voice, and even from the beginning of their relationship, it was
Mhm.
always this thing where it felt like, "Why are you tolerating this?
Mhm.
Why are you allowing this for yourself? Why are you not looking at the fact that he keeps showing himself and who he is, and yet you continue to participate in this?" And I know part of it is because, Kyle has his own charms and Kyle, would apologize, but then, you can only do that so many times before it's like, same song, different verse. And
Sure.
so that's what I think also makes it really hard is that because Amanda and Sierra seemed like they were legitimately good friends, that they always would like come to each other's aid. You would see like them sticking up for each other on social media. It really is jarring to think, wow, like she somehow suspended this part of her brain knowing how much one of her dearest friends would be wrecked by this because this is not like a situationship that ended 10 years ago. This is something that was
Right.
still very fresh
Right.
6 months ago. And
Right.
so the fact that then I guess Amanda now unburdened by a relationship. I don't know if she just found what West as a friend offered and then that turned into more, but like you mentioned earlier that I mentioned earlier is that you could see these moments that maybe some people would go, "Well, they're just friends," but like with the context of watching it back and knowing what happened, there's just parts that just feel like I think there were feelings developing that neither one of them allowed themselves to give space for because they weren't in the position to allow for it because Amanda was not on the market. But apparently, once off the market or on the market or whatever, it was fair game. And I guess love, lust
All
makes
right.
you do crazy shit.
Is
That's
I mean,
all I
is
can
that it?
think.
Is that it? Like, is that the explanation of why people
I
betray
mean,
their
that's just
friends? Is
my
because they
theory,
Sure.
is that
I'm
she truly did not know what the hell she wanted, and now she has a guy that, like, is probably saying all the things that she has been wanting to hear, and I think it's intoxicating for somebody that doesn't know themselves well.
So it comes down to feelings feelings were developing.
Mhm,
There wasn't, an ethical way to explore those feelings before,
mhm.
but now that we're separating, I have permission and
Well, they just gave themselves permission, they
ish.
didn't
Well,
tell
that's what I'm
people.
saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
everybody was technically single apparently, even though there was statements saying that Wes and Sierra, even at the beginning of this year, were supposedly still chatting some. So it wasn't like the door was fully closed on that relationship dynamic before he apparently was starting to make moves with Amanda.
So, I feel like I'm s I don't know if stepping back from the drama is the right word, but, like, I'm trying to be objective about, like,
Sure.
she Amanda clearly has a strong friendship with Sierra. She
Had, yeah.
clearly or had.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in the middle of it, right?
Yes.
I'm in the developing feelings part. And she knows that Sierra has feelings for West.
Yes.
So
Everyone
she
does.
so she chose, consciously or unconsciously, to, I guess, devalue her friendship with Sierra
Apparently.
in order to pursue the feelings that she had with West,
And did not confirm this with Sierra until I think
as far as we know.
a day before they released the statement, they gave
Yeah.
Sierra a heads up.
Yeah. As far as we know, anyway.
I
As
know
far
that's what
as
they've said.
the that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
Oh,
as far as
okay.
it's been reported or as far as Bravo
No,
released
no,
the
no, like,
statement.
the cast members have all said this.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Sierra
Alright.
herself said
Yeah.
this, and then, like, Amanda and Wes have also, like, said that that was true.
Got it. Yeah. Well, okay. So, is that okay?
I don't think so. I mean, this is why people are freaking out
Yeah. Yeah,
because,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
while, yes, it sounds like everybody was technically single, I think
Mhm.
there are things like girl code is something that is spoken about a lot,
Well, what is that?
and
Say more about that.
yes. So girl code, for anybody that doesn't know, girl code is essentially the statement of like, there are certain things that you do not do to your other female friends
Yeah.
because it would be a violation of what being a good girlfriend to each other would be. And
Okay.
so a big one of that is like, you don't date each other's exes. You just
Yeah.
don't do that, especially if they were like, people that like it wasn't just like a passing fling, but like a really serious dynamic. And so this feels like the ultimate violation of it because it feels super yucky when you think about like I can only imagine if it was like I came to you, Jason, and told you about like my relationship issues with my like situationship,
Yeah.
and then 5 months later you were dating the person. Like
Yeah.
that rocks my fucking world. Like that, I mean, what the fuck? Who needs enemies with friends like that?
That right. That feels gross to me. But what I think what would feel like the violation in that is and I'm supposing so we may
Sure,
fall on opposite sides of the fence on this particular thing.
sure.
I do think, objectively speaking, I have not been in this situation personally, but I do think it's okay to date the ex of a friend if you have talked about it with your friend. If you value that relationship and have done the hard emotional work and had the serious conversation with the friend, if you're going to stay friends with that friend and date their ex, right? And again, we're supposing that the dating is, and we have this cultural narrative. Again, I'm not going to. I don't want to break this down too far again, but
Sure.
like we have this cultural narrative that if we start dating somebody, that there is the expectation, unsaid expectation, that it will progress to a marriage and a happily ever after relationship,
Yeah.
right? Like this is sort of the
At least especially in
unwritten
heterosexual couples.
relationship escalation is that this is what this is the unwritten rule that this is where this is going. So if that is in there, then I feel like I would need to talk with you, right, about my feelings and about your feelings, and I would have to in some way give you a veto,
Mhm.
I guess, right? I would have to
And
say
see,
I
and
have
that's I
strong
think
feel.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, no, no. I
No,
was
no,
just
I
saying,
didn't
if
mean to cut
I
you off.
have strong feelings and also I value our relationship, like, how do you feel about this? I would want to at least give, and I don't, maybe veto is too strong a word, right? I don't want anyone necessarily having a veto over my love life.
Right.
But then also, like, if I truly value our friendship, then I also love you. So how do we make this work for both of us? And can we? So I think in an ideal world with two mature, emotionally intelligent people, or three, I should say, three emotionally intelligent people, right? This situation could be navigated, but that is in the very, very, very small minority of situations that I think could ever work out. The vast majority is going to create a rift somewhere. It's going to create drama somewhere, right? And
Yeah.
if you're on television, then everybody's going to want to watch it.
Yeah. Yes. And if
Right?
they're
So
already
yeah, yeah,
invested
yeah,
in
yeah.
your love life and in
Right.
your development as a person because it's played out for years on a television show,
Sure.
this
Sure.
definitely feels like a holy shit, that was a backslide, you know?
Right. Right.
So I definitely not to I guess it's not challenging you, but I guess just like
You
pressing on the
can. You
point.
should.
Well,
Yeah.
no. It just because I think it's just the thing that I don't know if this is like a part of your math when it comes to like what you said about, yeah, you could date your ex if you do all those steps, right? Um, is some people think just the thought of
Mhm.
considering dating someone's ex is
Mhm.
a violation. Like to even seriously consider being like, because I don't know if like let's say if there was somebody and I get it. Obviously, you have been in a long-term relationship for a very long time. So I
Right.
could and also I will say this, Jason, you just operate very differently. And also I think the gays do it differently. Like
We
I
do.
do believe lesbians and gay men are oftentimes friends with their exes. Not all the time. Not all the time, but there's a lot I know a lot that are.
Our community is much smaller than the heterosexual
That too.
community. And so if we
Yeah.
want to have queer friends, it's almost a mandate that we have to figure it out, right? We have to just
Yeah.
figure out how to coexist again. Yeah.
Yes. So I definitely think that complicates it, but also, like, there is something though about I don't know how I would feel if I mentioned that fake scenario, if like you would come to me and you were like, "Listen, Sean, me and John, yeah, Sean and
Mm,
John,
sure.
so let's say you were like, John, and I think like there's something happening there, but like nothing has happened, but like I would freak the fuck out. Like I can just be real with myself and be
mm,
like, this is this is like hurting my head too much. Like this is
mm,
too like I like knowing this is where this person existed. This is where this person existed. And
yeah.
now I have to see you two in front of me potentially. And
Yeah.
knowing that you even thought about allowing yourself to be in a relationship with somebody that I had something really serious with. I think unless I just had this very like maybe if I was just in this place of so far removed from it that maybe then I could have some like,
Yeah.
this is really weird, but like, good luck to you. But also, I think it would be really weird because then I think what people do is then they start going, what about those little moments where they just totally like secretly like, checking out my
Mhm.
person when we were together and lusting after them the whole time and basically like,
So
what
then
what
you
was
do like
there?
a post-mortem of the last 6 months of your relationship or whatever it is,
Sure,
right?
or yeah, however long, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so I think, like, when I think about that, there is something that does rattle my stomach where I go, "Oh my gosh," like, because I guess there's a part of me that's like, "Oh, yeah, if you had an ex that was a serious ex, I would be like, oh, that'd be too weird, that'd be, like, incestuous for me to get involved with one of my close friends' exes." Like, so that's at
So
least what I think is another take.
it absolutely is, and I'll tell you just briefly where my take comes from. So I
Sure.
work a lot in the polyamory community,
Mhm.
and one of the goals of certain forms of polyamory, certain relationship constellations, is developing a feeling called compersion, which I think you're familiar with, but just for the sake of our audience,
Yeah.
compersion is finding joy in someone else's joy. And when you are in a relationship with somebody and that relationship is polyamorous in some way, shape, or form, if your person is going to date other people and you're going to see that, then the goal is for you to develop so much joy for the person that you care about because their joy is also found in other people with other relationships. Then jealousy is not even entering the equation.
Yeah.
It might be envy, like, I wish I had that type of relationship with my other people that I am dating, if that's our arrangement, right? But the jealousy piece is, like, I am not like, if this person is truly happy with that person, then that's great, and I'm going to be happy for them. And so I try and come from, but this is, again, this is a very, very small minority. This is a very difficult thing to practice and to get into your heart so that you're not operating from this jealous, dramatic place, right?
Yes.
So that's just my take on this. And I think that's why when I watch these things on television, I bristle and I'm like, guys, you're not even trying to have compersion. You're not even trying to be happy for. But I know why. It's because when it's dramatic and explosive the way that it is, then it's more watchable, right? So anyway,
That's
yeah,
the part about it is like I love the idea of people being able to completely embrace non-monogamy in a healthy, ethical way, and yet how many people actually do, and then how often does it stay good?
sure, sure. And maybe we're digressing and talking too much about like
But I mean, this is an interesting
dating
but
multiple
I
people.
do
It
think
is. It
though,
totally is.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
dynamics of this because of like community differences, but also
Mhm.
like jealousy and also insecurity and
Yeah.
then wondering like, is the narrative you wrote in your head about people completely off? Does it change how you look at a person and what you see as their character? Some people
Right.
would say this is a terrible character defect that you would maybe take a thought and actually make action of it.
Well, I feel like that's begging the question a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, are we just sort of automatically vilifying single people for
right,
dating whoever they want to date?
right.
Is that what we're doing, and is that okay?
And I think that is the $1,000,000 question because there is this part of me that goes, "Oh my god, what would happen
Yeah.
if I did develop a connection with somebody that was previously
Right.
only with somebody else that I knew and cared about? And what the fuck would I do?" Like,
Yeah.
I think because I think that's part of our job, right, as therapists,
Mhm.
is to try and imagine ourselves in these scenarios and to understand the complexities of what makes a person do this, but also what it feels like to be in that. And and if you can't do that, then I think that that's where, like, you probably shouldn't be working with that person. If you can't find the empathy, find the ability to go, "Oh, this is how this series of events led to that." But then also, like, it is so messy, and is the mess worth ruining a friendship potentially? That's a big
Right.
risk for something that might not last.
That's always the mirror that I wanna hold up, and this extends to even doing relationship work in the context of a friendship is this worth it to you,
Yeah.
right? This complex mess of emotions that you have maybe on both sides, do you want to navigate both of those things, or are you willing to risk one for the other, and is that okay with you? And if it's not, can you have the hard conversations, right? Can you talk to your friend about it? Can you talk to your love interest about it? Can you be open and real? And a lot of people have difficulty with that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who want to do these really big idea concepts and
Mhm.
relationships without doing the legwork of
Right,
really making sure that they know what they're getting into.
right,
Because
right.
I think the rules of engagement, once you're in, I mean, it's that whole like, can you ever go back? And you can't go back. I think the answer is you can't. Now, maybe it does survive, but it has to become something different in order for that relationship to evolve into something that heals.
So what's funny is I'm thinking about like I'm thinking about this like on this show that I
Yeah.
haven't seen, but a scenario like this where
Mhm.
if they were doing the hard work, if they were having the more difficult conversations and above board about all of it and managing it step by step, like would we still watch it? Or would it even rise to the level of scandal?
I mean, I think it would be more nuanced.
Yeah,
I do think so. I do think people would still watch it. Now, it obviously, I think because of the level of fuck-uppery,
sure,
I
sure.
think that's definitely, something that is, like, making this even more explosive because
Yeah,
of I think it's also because of the fact that when you see someone, specifically Amanda, because
yeah,
we've never seen her as a single person really in all the
right.
years that we watched this show, we're now seeing a different side of her where there's parts of it that make you go, "Ooh, was this always something in her that she could, like, do this to a friend? Like, to act this way, to follow through?" Like, just putting the West thing aside, just, like,
Yeah,
lying, and
right. That's the way I'm looking at it, yeah.
yes. Yeah, and, like, that's also, I think, what's so hard is, like, I don't understand why they thought they could get away with it. Like, why deny it? I guess that's the thing is, like, once the rumors happen, I just think, like, I don't know, maybe I think it's very easy to go, "Why would you deny it?" Because I do think when we're called out on our shit, our quick thing is to deny, 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 and try to get rid of the blowback
Why? Why do we do that?
because 'cause we're afraid of the shame and humiliation of
Yes.
people
That's what
judging
it comes
us.
down
Yeah,
to. Right.
yeah.
That's why we hide anything that we don't wanna talk about is
Mm,
because we're afraid of the shame, or we're afraid of the judgment, and then ultimately it's the rejection, or the abandonment, right?
yeah.
By someone that we care about and who cares about us. That's what we're trying to avoid. When really the betrayal is in the lying, because secrets almost always come out,
Mhm.
right? So the betrayal
Yes.
is in the dishonesty. It's not in the
Yes.
feelings that we're developing. So, right.
So much of
Yeah.
the time, I truly am a firm believer of that
Right.
saying, "It's not the crime, it's the cover up."
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
to me,
Yeah.
like, this is part of this would have been something that incensed fans regardless if
Mhm.
there had been, like, a full transparent everyone involved knew what was going on as it
Mm.
was developing, but because of the fact that there were denials, the fact that there were, plenty of situations for them to go, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna fess up," and they
Mhm.
didn't. And also because it was like, I mean, it really, especially in this day and age, I think that's the other part of it. There's a certain audacity of being like, you're public figures living in a major city. People have phones on them. Why in the world would you think that nobody would find out about this if you're going out in public
Yeah.
and showing affection to each other?
Alright, so here's the part of me that gets dubious about the producing of the show and even the offline producing, where,
Mm,
like, how much of this was goaded into being by the producers of Bravo. How
mm,
much of this was encouraged? How much right? Like, we don't know and we
we
will
don't.
never really know. And so that's where in the back of my brain I start going, like, is this manufactured? Is this all just drama that's been taken out of, the television box and put out on the street? Which is essentially social media, right? Like in
Sure.
this day and age, like that's what's quote unquote real, even though like that could also be curated. So I don't know. I get a little bit
Yeah.
doubtful about the reality of the reality, but
So,
that's just yeah,
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 to be so I guess you're yes, there is a part maybe in some way there could have been some kind of manipulation.
mm,
However, I will say this about Bravo reality shows
hmm,
is that once they go off season, like they really leave them the fuck alone. And so
yeah,
this all started coming out when they were completely done filming. There was no filming happening. They're in between seasons. And from what I hear from the people when they give interviews about how these shows are produced, is at the
yeah,
beginning of the next season, they usually meet with the cast members, they get a feel for what's going on with their lives, and then that's how they
yeah.
begin forming a narrative of what that person is bringing. So there's
Okay,
definitely a participation in
sure,
what the story's going to be and what is impacting the people. And I know because there's a lot like cameras were down. Like this wasn't recorded, this wasn't filmed. Like there was none
yeah,
of that for catching these moments. These were
right, right,
all
right.
cell phones of people
Private
up and
moments,
about.
supposedly, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's another part too, is where it feels like, oh yeah, they waited till they were done filming their
hmm,
reality shows to
hmm,
pursue this because they don't want this on camera.
right, right.
But you're public figures, right? And technically, we're all public figures, and we could all run into people that know us.
This is true. Yeah. And I feel like we're talking about like I mean we're almost making judgments in this discussion about like what's okay and what's not okay.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but I feel like that's part of the public perception or the public's judgment is we're deciding largely like one person's behavior is okay, one person's is not okay. But this often leads to like things like cancel culture,
Yeah.
where we start saying that person is a terrible person, and then well, all of a sudden everybody hates that person, and then their followers drop, or now
They
they're no
lose
longer
jobs, they get
they
fired
that's what I'm saying. They're
sometimes.
getting fired. They
Yes.
yeah, they're no longer hireable or whatever. Like, is that is that okay? Like, is that I don't mean I have I so I'll be transparent about it. I have difficulty with cancel
Yeah.
culture. Like I know
Yeah.
this was a bigger thing maybe going back 5 years or so where
It still
uh,
happens.
it's still happening for sure. I feel like maybe less so, but
Yeah.
I have trouble with writing off a human being completely for a mistake that they have made. And I know that this is inherent in our job that we do. Like I believe in the redemption of everyone. I believe in everyone's ability to make a horrible mistake, and I believe in everyone's ability to see the error of their ways, to repent and to change their behavior and move forward and hopefully never do it again. So cancel culture doesn't really leave space for
Sure.
that. And that's
Sure.
where I think some of this really, really heightened drama and the scandals, right? Where
Yeah.
scandals then become about vilifying a person straight down to hell, and hopefully they never return again. Like that part, like kind of kills me about
Mhm.
stuff like this. I don't know. What do you feel about that? Like, what is your opinion on
Yeah.
canceling somebody?
Yeah. It's definitely toxic. Um, it's
Meaning,
also
meaning what? When you say toxic in this context, what do you mean?
it chemically burns you. Just
Thank you. It's acidic and my
it's
skin is
acidic
itchy.
and you
Yeah,
go,
no.
"Ow."
It's radio no.
Yeah, it's radioactive.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think that it can be a very destructive path to condemn people for a lot of times, especially like isolated actions is especially where I
Mhm.
have problems with it. And also I think about the fact of like everyone's gotta have like money to live their lives. Everybody's gotta be able to get work. Everybody's got to be able to show their face, like and then the other part of
Mhm.
my brain is, I know that a big reason why cancel culture became so big is because it was in response, like, to the predators involved in the Me Too movement who were
Oh, for
sexually
sure.
assaulting
Yeah.
women, and think
Right.
about the countless centuries, honestly, of women who have lost their ability to have freedom, to have
Oh,
any
yeah.
sort of power in their lives because they were shunned because women have always had the burden of having to be like the perfect, the Madonna whore complex of just
Of
like
course.
you
Yeah.
have to be able to be all the good things when you need to be good things, but then also be able to
Mhm.
turn on the naughty things for the naughty things.
Right.
And so I think like
When
part of me
men
is
need
like,
them to be.
what
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
men need them. And then
Yeah.
unfortunately, and then we get indoctrinated to believe like, oh yeah, that's what a woman's supposed to be like. And
No.
then that really started breaking down. And so there's part of me that's like, okay, there are some of these predators that literally kept getting away with it and kept
Mhm.
on assaulting women and then basically like killing their careers because they
Right.
threatened them because of their involvement. So then it's like, for those fuckers, there's a part of me that's like fucking Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Cancel the fuck out of him. Bill Cosby? Cancel the
Yeah.
fuck out of him. I don't care how fucking genius and funny he was. He
Sure.
did terrible things to so many women.
Right.
So, yes, on that scale, I'm like, cancel away. However, it is now like come to a point where I think there is a lot more pushback because there are people that maybe just they have a flaw that is really a fuck. It's a big fuck up, but it's happening on the public landscape and we
Mhm.
have the internet. So of course it's blown up bigger. And then it's like, okay, if they don't have a pattern of this, are we being fair? Because then yeah, how does a person get
Right.
redemption, right? Like, and I guess that's the thing is I think all of this makes me then wonder if a person is able to get redemption, like what makes them worthy versus other people?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you have like in your head, like, are there people where you're like, is there ever a point where you think, I just don't think redemption's in the cards for them?
This is such a hard question, Sean.
I know. That's why I asked it.
Because I don't want to be the person that says, yes, Harvey Weinstein is redeemable. Yes, Bill Cosby. Yes, Hitler is redeemable. Like, right? So, like, to
Right.
what level does it have to rise before we all sort of collectively agree this person and their collection of acts is they are irredeemable as a person, that they should
Right.
be vilified and eradicated, right? Like, it is such a like it's just so it's so so difficult
Right?
for because of my line of work. And I guess
Yes.
part of that is baked into maybe my ethics or my morality as a person. Like, I do believe in, like, it's that question about it's the ethical question or the moral question about like stealing the loaf of bread, right? Like, stealing is wrong. Stealing a loaf of bread is wrong. Well, what about if your family is starving? What if it's the last loaf of bread and 35 people are going to steal it, but you happen to get there first and your family is starving and you could feed your family with this loaf of bread? Like, shouldn't you steal it? Don't you have a moral obligation to steal? Well, no, it's ethically it's wrong. Legally it's wrong. It's that whole debate, right? It's the
Yeah.
when is murder okay? Well, we say murder is okay in war all of the time. All of the time. We murder every day. Humans murder other humans every single day. And sometimes it's sanctioned.
Yep.
That really fucks with me because
Yep.
I don't think it should ever be
Right.
okay, right?
Right.
Oh, wait, but maybe in self-defense. If someone's trying to murder me, can't I murder that? Well, God, I hope I never have to but this is the back and forth, right?
Yes.
This is the unclear place. And I think that's where maybe the the salaciousness, the deliciousness of scandal might live
Yeah.
is in the moral complexity, the ethical
Oh, yeah.
complexity of the situation, right? We can't say what we would do in that situation because we don't know because we've never been in that
Yeah.
situation. But also, we get close to those situations. So we can approximate. And so we want to side with one person and we want to say that person's. And of course, we get caught up in the emotions of it. And then it becomes, right? And then it becomes enjoyable. It becomes
Yeah.
entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to very politely deflect your question
No,
with that
you
long-winded.
answered it really well. I think that was a great
Okay.
answer.
Okay. Yeah. It's never a situation where I want to be able to sit in judgment, in
Right.
isolation, and be able to go, yes, that's okay. And yes, that's not okay. This person is redeemable. This person is not redeemable. It's not for any one of us to say,
Yeah.
but I would hope that in any given situation, we would be given the grace if we really and truly can see the error of our ways.
And then do differently.
And
I
then
think that's the difference, right?
but
Right.
that's
The
what I
end.
mean.
Yeah.
When I see the error of my ways, I then can commit to a change of behavior, right?
Yeah.
That was sorry, I was
And not just
implying that,
one part.
but
I think
that's
that's what a lot of
right,
people do the
right,
first part, but
right,
then yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it has to come to is you need to be able to see that your behavior is hurting others,
Yeah.
or you need to be able to see that you chose a romantic relationship over a friendship, and you need to own that behavior, right? And
Mhm.
apologize and try and make it right, or at least commit to never doing it again to hurt other people in service of your own needs, your own
Yeah.
feelings, right?
Yeah.
That's where I think it becomes that moral or ethical conundrum.
Yeah. Because I think that we run into this with our clients
Mm,
all the time where
yeah,
clients will always do things that we would never do, that would never be a part of our moral
sure,
code, or at least what we believe we would never do, right?
sure,
Is
sure.
that like the things that maybe they're like, oh, I don't know why that's a thing, or maybe I think it's an overreaction. That might be a bridge we would never cross. However, we regularly work with that. So
Hmm.
I think the question for me there is when you have that happen,
Mm,
I'm imagining you've had that happen where somebody expresses something about what they've said or done that really goes against your personal code
mhm,
despite your training.
mm.
How do you navigate that? How do you stay above something, especially if it's something that maybe does rub something
Yeah.
raw in you?
So I come from, as you know, sort of the narrative therapy school of therapy, and so
Mhm.
that is my what I would consider my home orientation. And the probably the biggest tool in this situation that I pull from is something that we call naming the demon. In that situation, I have a demon that's going to get in the way. And the demon is my own feelings, my own morality, my own code, right? That you're
Mhm.
describing. And if that gets pricked up in that moment, it's my responsibility. I see it as my responsibility to name it. I'm not going to ignore the feelings or the uh, the the difference in decision making, right? In those moments, I'm
Yeah.
going to go, wow, I've never been in that situation. And I'm feeling like I would have made a completely different decision, but that's okay. Let's examine your decision and how you feel about it. So I have to call it out. I have to bring it into the room and acknowledge it so that there's a transparency in the processing of the event. If I'm sitting on something and I'm just fighting, putting it away, trying to put it right, not acknowledging, there's just no way I'm going to have a clear head to be
Mhm.
able to process objectively with my client. I've got to name it.
Yeah.
So that's how I navigate those things. How do you
Yeah.
do it?
So, I great answer. I really appreciate that answer because I do
Yeah.
think all those parts are like a part of how you do it right. What I have found what works best for me is to focus on the client's reported values. And
Mm,
that is the
great.
mirror I use. So every
Mm,
time I feel the tickle in me about like, that's really fucked up. I
mm,
also then remember like this is a living, breathing human being in front of me. And
mhm,
also, this is their work to do, and I'm there to assist them through it. And
mhm.
also, I will say, there is a part of me that that's part of what makes this work so great is that it's fascinating to hear people going through situations that you would never imagine yourself in, thinking that it probably wouldn't be
Oh, yeah.
something you would ever touch with a 10-foot pole. But
Oh, yeah.
also, like, it's interesting to help people work through it. So I do really try to focus on when people do things that really seem, if it is like out of character, and when push comes to shove, almost always with things like that, people will end up having to go, "Shit." Like, I've had that happen so many times, and it feels it feels kinda good. I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like, "Yeah, yeah, you're
What's the realization? What's the
that they're a
shit that you're talking about?
hypocrite." That
Ah,
they're
there it is. Okay, yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
yeah,
They've
so
gone
that
against their own moral code.
yes,
Yeah.
because I don't know how many times, and this is so basic, and I know this is not like this is nothing revolutionary, but
Mm,
how many times not even in super situations, when I just pose, if it was the other way around, would you
mm,
want them to do that to you? And
right.
they instantly go, fuck. Like,
Mhm.
it's
That would
like
suck.
there's
Yeah.
something about the tunnel vision of the moment
Mm,
where they're like,
yeah,
well, I feel this way about this. And so it's, I
right,
can't not do it. But then the
right.
thought of somebody else, the opposite, who might be getting hurt in this, doing that to them, they go, oh shit, that's really fucked up. And then it's like,
Uh-huh.
you're the person doing the fucked up thing, buddy. Like, and
Right,
so
right,
according to your own values, right?
right,
And
right,
so that's how I focus on it because to me, it becomes more about like, you're going to learn this lesson best by realizing it goes against the very philosophy you wrote for yourself.
right. Yeah, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, maybe you don't have an answer for this, but what do
Sure.
you do with your own feelings about that behavior in those moments? Like, it sounds like you're reminding yourself, this is the client's work to do, this is the
Yes.
client's moral code that's being violated, but also yours. So what do you do with those feelings? Do
I
you
mean,
have
what
any
I typically
feelings?
do is I
Yeah.
say, "Oh, hey, yeah, I remember you said you need to go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom," and I go out and I slash their tires. Just kidding.
Wow. Okay.
Just kidding.
Uh,
I was trying to think,
that's
what's a really
awful.
audacious thing that I could say that's just gonna
You
be
did.
so stupid and
You did.
ta-da.
Yep, yep. Very
Um,
good. Yeah,
I will afterwards, if it's really important, I will
yeah.
do like a consultation with another therapist friend
Oh, sure. Yeah, good.
who,
Okay, yeah,
basically just being able to be like, I navigating this situation. Here's just like the basic outline of what's going on.
yeah,
Here's what my feelings are that I am contending with.
yeah.
And usually in this situation, if I can just remember like this is what I signed up for. I think that's the
Uh,
thing too, is like I remember when I signed up and this was trained in me, is you're gonna work every day with people who would never do the same thing as you. And that's
mm,
the point. The point of therapy isn't to get them to
right.
do what I would do. The point of therapy is to
Right.
get them to do what they would do in their best
Yeah,
light
yeah.
and to see that through
It's
and
not
to
yeah.
confront
It's
them
not
with
my
it
right.
if they
Sorry,
are
yeah, go
going
ahead.
against
Yeah.
their own code.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my moral code I want them to follow, even if I have strong
Yes.
feelings about it, right? It's their own that I have to right. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
a
that
lot of
makes
times
sense.
for
Yeah.
me, it's just like just being able to say it to another person to just be like, yeah, this thing that my client is doing right now,
Yeah.
it's really like I really upsets me that they would like put
Yeah.
themselves in this situation and that bothers me, but like I'm still invested in the work and I
Sure.
don't want that to get in the way of the relationship. And if it does like get to a point where I have had clients where
Mm,
they take my pushing back on what they are doing as me criticizing them.
Right.
And I will reflect again, like I said, about like, this is just based off what you told me
Yeah.
that this wouldn't be okay. And I would not be doing my job if I didn't point that out to you.
Yep.
And then sometimes they're like, "Well, I just don't feel comfortable talking about this with you anymore." And I say, I'm really sorry to hear that. I really would love to
Yeah.
work through this. However,
Yeah.
if you think you just can't, I will help you find someone else."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay, but
That's the reality of therapy, though.
likely they're
Yeah.
gonna run
Yeah.
into it again. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, you know, any
Yeah.
therapist I think worth their weight is going to hold the mirror up. So, I think,
Yeah.
yes, everybody's gotta navigate it their own way, but at least that's how I try to.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah. What do
Cool.
you think it is, just in general? Like, why do you
Sure.
think we get so caught up in scandals? And and I guess, like, are there any that you've ever, like, that has ever fascinated you? Any over time? Like, I know you're not very, like, I don't consider you like a salacious minded
Yeah.
individual. I don't think that stuff really entertains you or interests you. But I do think that there are certain cultural things that can pop up that make you go like, "Oh, that's interesting," or that's kind of messed up," or whatever, or "That was foolish."
I do remember, like, sort of watching as a group, like, with college friends, my first year in college, the O.J. Simpson trial.
Mm,
That was sort of like a big sort of public, and it was scandalous, but it was also criminal, and but, like, everybody,
yeah.
like, a beloved figure, right? That now
Mhm.
being accused of a heinous crime and then being defended in a court of law on a very public stage, like, it was apparently, it was newsworthy, right? Like,
Yeah.
everybody wanted to know about it, everybody wanted to watch it, and so, yeah, 90 I think it was 94, 95.
Yep.
Like, it was really that was something that I remember really getting into and was fascinated as a very young adult,
Yeah.
that this universally loved public figure could fall so far. And I think that piece of it was, I mean, there's so many layers to
Yeah.
to me, and that at that time, like, this was me really learning that adults could be fallible. Like, I've obviously I knew this, and you know that people, but, like, for someone who's
Like a
so
superstar.
he was a superhero
Yeah.
in public culture,
Yeah.
and then fell so far, and then that was just, so I think that dramatic fall from grace is also captivating in a way,
Yeah.
but then also as a young person going, Wow, like, adults are human, adults make massive mistakes, right? And then here's some of the fall. There's a car chase, and there's bloody gloves, and there's a performance by a defending lawyer, and there's, like, it was just
It
all of
was
these things
theater.
that just made it, yeah, that was just such a huge deal. So that, to me, I remember being pretty fascinated by, and I think still my ears perk up when I hear of somebody who's so universally loved who falls. But beyond
Mhm.
that, like, you're right, it's not really my cup of tea because of what because I want to believe in redemption.
Mhm.
I wanna believe in, right, someone's ability to go, "Wow, I screwed that up," and repent and hopefully be loved again. I
Yeah.
think it's just, yeah. So, yeah, that's my answer to that, like, the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yeah, no, that's a
I know
great
that was a long time
answer.
ago, but
No, that's a
yeah,
great, I think
yeah,
that was a really
yeah,
formative scandal for
yeah.
those of us who were aware and living in the '90s, for sure.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that really
it was
was the
huge.
beginning of court TV
Yeah,
and honestly true crime, like,
yeah,
being what it is
yeah,
now at the
mhm,
level it's at. I think it was a really informative experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I would say for me, like, one that was probably it's one that I was old enough to understand what was happening, and
Mhm,
now looking back, I think there's a lot of us who feel really badly about the outcome of it for
mhm,
at least one person in particular, and that was the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky
yeah,
scandal.
mhm,
And a big part for anybody who was in line for that is basically you can find out Bill Clinton was impeached because it was found that he was having an affair with a White House intern who was a young 20-something-year-old female.
mhm,
And basically, she was completely vilified, completely. I mean, people chased her down. I mean, she truly was just, slut shamed,
Yeah,
obviously had done something that was not okay. And also was essentially, I look at a kid. And so now, fast
sure.
forward, Monica Lewinsky now has a podcast of her own called Reclaiming. And
Yeah,
she's really quite great at it. And what's really come around is I think there's so many of us who go, oh, wait a second. We gave Bill, like, oh, boys will be boys. But
yeah,
Monica, we just threw her to the trash and we decided that she was the homewrecker and that
yeah.
it was all on her. And
It's the
so,
it's the
yeah,
Me Too and Madonna whore and all the things that
yes,
we were all talking about before we really started to grab that bull by the horns. Like she
yes.
was yet another victim of that culture. Yeah,
But
yeah,
thankfully, I think that's the good thing about the reexamination of
hmm
so many of these events that really began with, I think, probably the 2010s is when I really feel like there was that reckoning of, wait,
oh yeah,
how have we treated women in culture throughout time? And
right.
Monica Lewinsky is always one of those that comes up on the list where you see, I mean, at least I know from what she says, she's done a ton of work on herself and it seems apparent, but like, she's truly come off as really well adjusted for
hmm
going through, something that is so what was a global scandal.
No, it
And,
was. It was
like, I
international.
mean,
Yeah,
it
I mean
was
it's the
crazy, it
president of
was
the U.S. Right?
intense.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
the president of the
yeah,
United States, a
yeah.
very popular president of the
Right,
United States.
right.
And so, yeah, when I think about redemption, it's like, you
hmm
know what? I'm glad that there's now way more like Bill should have had way more flack given to him, and she should have been given way more grace. She was
Right.
an impressionable kid. He was a man in power. This is a
Yeah,
dynamic that is easily abusive. And so,
100%.
yeah, I definitely
Yeah,
like believe in redemption but also understand how easy it is for us to go, you are bad, you are good, you're the victim, you're the predator. Like it's just so easy to do heroes and villains. But
sure.
like there's so much like I really do believe like we're all heroes and we're all villains when you come down to it. Like it just depends on the day and depends on the situation.
Sure. Yeah. And our accountability and our willingness
Yeah.
to continue to do better when we know more, when we know better.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason, what do you think you're taking away from this conversation that I've actually really enjoyed having with you?
Yeah, it was pretty, I don't know, I kind of heated, but also like, yeah, it was interesting to examine these different nuances and different facets of things like scandal and even reality TV. I think one of the things that I'm walking away with is that I really do like I will double down on that value that I have, that we are all redeemable. That to me feels really really important. Just to not only to remember but to invest emotional labor in. If we know that we've done wrong and we really value the relationships that we have in our lives, then it's really on us to be accountable and to do the work to make amends and to change our behaviors. That to me is like, I'll bring anything and everything back to connection and relationships. If that is really the goal of a happy, healthy life, is to have long lasting, fulfilling relationships, then this is part of the work. This is
Yeah.
as messy and complex as it gets. And we have to be able to lean in and face our fuck ups and really try and do better next time, right?
Yeah.
If we want to continue. And if we don't, then I'm just going to give a word of warning to anybody who is connected to you to watch out because you're going to get hurt. We that's
And you're
the
going to
terror.
hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where I'm going with this. The
Okay.
terrible irony of our closest loving relationships is that we are going to hurt the people that we love the most. The first time I heard somebody say that to me, I was like, "That is ridiculous. Stop talking to me about that. Like, I would never do that." And then I did it. And then it was done to me. And then I did it again. And then it was done to me again. And I'm like, holy shit. we really are terrible at being perfect. none of us, none of us has that ability to
Yeah.
not hurt other people. We are going to, right? So leaning into that accountability and really trying to make amends and do better next time, that's all we can hope for. That's all we can hope for. So to me, that's the biggest takeaway is be accountable for your bullshit. Learn to do better, make amends, right? And value the people who value you. That's I'll bring anything back to that every time.
Yeah.
What
That's
about you?
great.
What do you
Love it.
Yeah, thanks.
So my takeaway that I also hope that other people can consider is when you feel the inclination to judge, remember how it feels to be judged.
Mm,
Remember
yeah.
what we think of people that we deem judgmental. It's not a
Mhm.
good look. It's
Yeah.
not a great attribute to be known as a judgmental person. And it is so easy if we are living in our glass house to say all these things that we would never do, but we truly have no idea until we're in them. So I think
Right.
while we can hold people to a standard and we can hope that people rise to that standard and we hopefully can agree on a lot of moral stances. We're
Mm,
also going to get into some really gnarly territory that maybe not what we would do, but also it doesn't mean that that person should be obliterated publicly for it.
right.
And at least, for a majority of the time, I would say in most situations, I'm always going to root for redemption. So just, maybe a reminder of like, before you say something, think about it. And remember, we're all human. Just
That's
remember
great.
that.
Yeah.
Like, find
Yeah.
me a perfect human, and I'll give you all my money. Like,
Mhm.
you know, there's not
Yeah.
a lot, but like,
We don't exist
but
though. They
also
don't
like
exist.
you
Yeah.
won't get it because we don't exist. We're not
Right.
robots.
Right.
So yeah, just yeah, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Great takeaway.
What about a secret question? Do
That's
you have a
funny.
secret question, Mr.
Yeah.
LeCompte?
Yeah. I was wondering
Mhm.
if you have ever been involved in a scandal or something resembling a scandal.
I have been a friend of people that have been involved in some pretty morally not great things. Yes, and
Is this your friend West that you DJ with on the weekends?
Wes isn't the DJ. That's
Oh,
Kyle.
sorry, that's Kyle. Kyle, sorry, I
No,
screwed him up.
that's funny. But no, and I think that's also that situation specifically. I mean, there's been, many throughout my life that I can look back on and go, wow, this really has fucked up a lot of
Mhm,
people's lives in some way, shape, or form because of
mhm.
questionable actions on
Sure.
certain people's parts. And the ones that, yeah, that do the work and work through it and process it, like it can be worth sticking through it and finding a way to make peace with it. And sometimes it is about like just truly saying right now, I don't know how to show up for you because
Mhm,
I'm dealing with really intense feelings about my disappointment that this is
mhm.
happening at all. I
Yeah.
mean, I've definitely been in positions too where I've seen the writing on the wall of things to come, and I have essentially pleaded with
Mm,
people like, don't do this. I promise you, this is not going to go well.
mhm.
And then humans will human.
Right.
And then after that, sometimes it's like, I need some space. I love you. And also I need to like sort my shit out about how I feel before I can actually show up for you
Mhm,
because I really like I can't believe you did this. I had no idea like you would even entertain this. And so it also though, I will say those situations have made me a better therapist
right.
because it gives me compassion because once
I
if
say
you
that,
really
yeah.
talk to somebody who has done something scandalous or is involved in something that is really like, oh, that was a fuck up big time,
Mhm,
most people feel really bad. Most
yeah.
people know that what they did was wrong, and most
Mhm,
people are they are going to be harder on themselves than anyone else ever could. And we do not need to be dumping on those people even more. Now,
Yeah.
there are people where it does seem like it's not even computing with them that they're being a really sub level human in their reactions. And for those
Yeah.
people, I do struggle to be like, listen, until you show some like remorse and wanting to do better, like
Yeah.
I can't really give much to you, but I'm always going to root for redemption. So yeah,
Sure.
so I've been in it. I've never I don't think I've ever been I don't think I've ever been that kind of drama.
Mm,
But like also, fingers crossed that I don't, but like you just
yeah.
never know. You just never know. I just, I pray that I can receive grace and I pray that I can give grace. So
Right. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to
Thanks.
look
Yeah,
at it.
good
Yeah.
question. All
Yeah.
right, what about some
Thanks.
shout outs? Jason, do you got a shout out for us?
Yeah. So it's just one, and it seems a little, well, I'm not going to qualify it. I'm shouting out Joy. I feel like
She's so
this has,
cool.
I know, right? I love Joy. No, I feel like this has come up a couple of times recently, about like, in some of Brene Brown's work. Hey, Brene, where she talks about how we forebode joy.
Mm,
And this has come up a couple times with clients recently. And then, but I've also, whatever, I think whenever it does, it makes me reflect on like joy in my own life.
yeah,
And I think that's where, like, if I come back to like the video game thing, like it is just a little bit of joy that I get to instill in my life, right? Whatever form that takes, I feel like we owe it to ourselves to recognize it in the moment, to
yeah.
kind of grab onto it and go, this really does make me happier as a human, even if it's just in a 10 or 20% way, right? It doesn't have to be shouting from the mountaintops joy, but I've been trying to recognize joy a little bit more often in my life and allow it in and allow
Yeah.
myself to feel it, and then to really appreciate how much actual joy that there can be in my life when I start to dial into it on that level. And so that's what I'm shouting out is joy.
Lovely. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Cool.
you?
My shout out is I laughed so, so hard at Wanda Sykes' newest
Oh,
comedy
nice.
special on Netflix called Legacy. It
Ugh.
is so good. She is in her 60s and I think as good as she's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
And
Great.
what I love about it is she does this special at her alma mater, Howard University,
Mm,
and it is this really beautiful celebration of her, like, owning this moment of being so proud to be performing on this stage that she once sat in the audience of.
mm,
And also, like, she's speaking about so many things about what our world is going through right now, but always somehow finds the humor and
oh,
always
yeah.
finds like just a really great take on things, but also completely from her cultural perspective. And
Yeah.
so it just makes me appreciate it's just another reason why I love diversity. And it's another reason why I also love watching any show or film or performance that involves people who are 40 something and older because it's good to know, like, I mean, she's doing all kinds of physical comedy in this thing. And I was
Yeah.
just like, damn, like, good for her. And like, she even
Yeah.
jokes, she's like, I gotta stop doing all this. Like, but like, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes me because I think as a younger person, I think I thought you get to 50 and even 40 and
Sure.
you just like are just this piece of shit waiting to die, and of course
Nope.
now that it's like I am in my 40s, it is very much like no, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I do wish for some of the parts of the youth that I had, like the energy and the body part, like the body flexibility of those
Mm,
times, but I would never want to go back to the person I was. I want the wisdom. I want
right.
the things I've lived through to inform me, and so I just love that Wanda. just represents so many great things, and just I laughed so hard and so much. Like, just those laughs too, where like something funny happens, but then like you can't stop thinking about it even after it's happened. And so, but then
It
like the people in the
echoes.
audience are
Yeah.
also still laughing at that
Sure.
thing. And
You
so
can
it's
kinda
just
hear
like
it
keeps
trickling
playing
in
in
the
your
back and
head because it's
uh-huh,
just like,
yeah,
holy shit, that was such a great joke. Like,
yeah,
anyway, I just comics are truth tellers. Thank God we have them.
yeah,
And the ones that are brave enough to do really good work, thank you for your service. So that's my
yeah,
shout
she's
out.
great.
Wanda Sykes, newest comedy special, Legacy. Check it out.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's great.
yeah. All right. Well, we got to the end of this scandalous episode. Jason, thank you once again for going on this ride with me and
For sure.
being a very good participant in a discussion that is not
Mm,
in your typical wheelhouse. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
And I also just want to let everyone know to please look for us at any of the places that has our content, which you can find us at Instagram at Collector Thoughts Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Collector Thoughts. And we would love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, share our work with the people that you think would benefit from it, or just, do whatever you can to get our podcast out there because, obviously we would love it if more people listened just in general, because I will never not want more people to listen, even if we ever have like millions of people. But also, we hope that people hear what we have to say and maybe they relate to it or they take something away from it and it helps them out. So, that is always our goal here at Collect Your Thoughts. So, anyway, well, Jason, let's land this plane. I want to always wish each and every one of you out there the best of days. And just remember to take a deep breath. And
Collect your thoughts.
that's right. Take it easy. Have a good one. See you next time.
Bye, guys.